True or false? Video games. True or false? The first chess playing program didn't run on a computer. True. In 1951, the English mathematician Alan Turing wrote out a simple chess program on paper. He tried it out against a bad chess player, but the program still lost. Today, computer programs can beat even the best human players of many board and card games such as chess, Go, and poker. True or false? Great games have always been addictive. True. One of the first computer games was banned for some universities because it was wasting people's time and hogging computer resources. The game Space War was created in 1961 to show the power of the new computer a laboratory had just bought. It was so popular that the lab had to ban people from playing it during work hours. True or false? Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft have all been making video game consoles since the 1970s. A console is a special computer made for playing games. False. Many different companies made video game consoles in the early days of video games such as Sega, Atari, and Magnavox. But Microsoft is new to the console business, with its first Xbox console released in 2001. True or false? Parents didn't like early video games because they kept kids from hanging out together. False. Parents didn't like early video games because kids left the house to play them. From the mid-1970s to the mid-1990s, kids and teens gathered at places called arcades to play the new games, where parents were not welcome. Such arcade games were built into large cabinets and cost small amounts of money to play. True or false? The first successful arcade game, called Pong, was so popular that the machines kept jamming with coins. False. The game was very popular, but the story of it jamming with coins was likely made by the company that made the game Atari to promote it. True or false? Nintendo was founded in 1980. Its founders said how popular game consoles were, and they wanted to get into the business. False. Nintendo was founded in 1889 to make traditional Japanese playing cards called Hanafuda. The company branched out into other toys, electronic games, in the 1960s, eventually releasing the famous Nintendo Entertainment System called Famicom in Japan. In the 1980s, Nintendo sticks to its roots. It still sells Hanafuda cards in Japan. True or false? There was an electronic game about teeth brushing. True. Plactic Attack was a 1983 computer game where players had to stop playing monsters from rotting teeth. True or false? One video game was so bad that its maker buried it on unsold copies in a landfill. True. The company Atari buried their unsold copies of E.T. the Extraterrestrial in 1983. It was a very difficult and frustrating game. The failure of E.T. marked the beginning of the crash in home video game sales in North America. Bad games and too many consoles caused people to stop buying video games. Console and game sales shrunk 97% to 1983 to 1985. The Atari Menlux would have let you play video games with brainwaves as early as mid-1980s, but the government shut it down. True or false? False. The electronic game called Atari was testing a device called the MindLink, but It really picked up tiny muscle movements in the player's forehead to control game. It was North American console crash of the mid-1980s, not a government, that caused Atari to stop working on it. True or false? Before Nintendo's famous character, Mario was the princess-saving plumber. He was a carpenter named Jumpman. True! Jumpman, the carpenter, made his first appearance in Donkey Kong in 1981. When he was a star in his own game, the designers decided to make him a plumber since much of the action took place underground. He was renamed Mario after the young owner of the U.S. warehouse that Nintendo rented. True or false? The first video game to tell a story was the adventure game The Legend of Zelda, released in 1986. False. In the 1970s, American computer programmer William Crowther created Colossal Cave Adventure. It was a text-based adventure game, a type of computer game played by reading text and typing out commands. True or false? The popular simulation franchise SimCity got its start as a government project on how to design better cities. False. The game's creator, Will Wright, was working on building islands to attack for a different game. He found creating the islands more fun than playing the original game, so he decided to turn it into the city planning game. SimCity was released in 1989. True or false? The gene, part of the cell that determines which traits living things get from their parents, that makes animals run fast, is called Sonic Hedgehog, in honor of Sega's Speedy Bloom mascots. False. But Sonic has, in fact, lent his name to a very important gene. Sonic Hedgehog, or SHH, control many parts of proper body development in animals with backbones, including humans. True or false? One of the best computer games of the early 1990s ended with a glitch. True. The sci-fi combat simulator Wing Commander would crash and display an error message every time the player quit the game. The programmers couldn't figure out what was causing the problem, so they just added the error text to say, "Thank you for playing Wing Commander." True or false? The famous computer game studio, Blizzard Entertainment, got its name because its workers used to shovel snow to make extra money. False. The company was first called Silicon and Synapse. After a number of name changes, the founders picked Blizzard for a dictionary. The company went on to create the StarCraft, Warcraft, and Overwatch game franchise. True or false? Electronic games have no rating system at first, but the games became more violent. The U.S. government thought they should be rated. True. Concerns about the nature of the content in some games, such as the violent fighting game Mortal Kombat, forced the gaming industry to create the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB, in 1994 to rate the content of new games. The creator of Pokemon, Satoshi Tajiri, was fired for sitting at home. False. As a child, Tajiri loved nature and collect bugs. The thrill and mystery of discovering new bugs inspired him to create Pokemon. True or false? People play electronic games professionally as a job. True. The professional playing of electronic games is known as electronic sports or esports. One esports tournament handed out over $24 million in prize money. True or false? Most people play electronic games on video game consoles. False. Since the late 2000s, most people playing games on smartphones. They work for people who don't have time to play games on consoles or computers, or who can't afford such a setup. Such apps as Angry Birds, Candy Crush Saga, and Clash of Clans are some of the most popular electronic games of all time. True or false? Some popular games today came from changes that players made in existing games. These new games are called action real-time strategy games. True! Players made modifiers, mods for short, to other games such as StarCraft and Warcraft 3. These modded games feature small teams of characters with special abilities. Today, action real-time strategy games are among the most popular games for esports. True or false? Some video games are great exercise. True. A few arcade and video games, such as Dance Dance Revolution series, have special mats or platforms on which players press buttons with their feet, making gameplay a real workout, but most video games aren't good exercise. Make sure you put down the controller and go outside. True or false? World of Warcraft is the largest massively multiplayer online role-playing game, with millions of players interacting in a huge online world. False. World of Warcraft is the largest MMORPG in terms of number of players, but they are divided in similar worlds that approximately 5,000 to 15,000 players each. But the science fiction MMORPG EVE Online takes place in single world. Tens of thousands of players play together at the same time. It's time to Did You Know? The most famous cheat code, called the Canoni code, for the company that created it is up, up, down, down, left, right, BA. Try it out in your favorite game and see what happens. Tomohiro Nishikado, the creator of the famous arcade game Space Invaders, is terrible at it. The first U.S. football game is what is now the main NFL series, was released in 1988. There are originally 151 different kinds of Pokemon. Later, Pokemon games added to this number. Today, there are over 700. A computer called Deep Blue was the first to beat a chess world champion. It defeats Gary Kasparov in 1997. The appearance of the iconic arcade game the arcade game character Pac-Man was inspired by the shape of the pizza with the piece missing. And that's it for today, and I'll see you. Well, that's the end of the book. Bye!